Welcome to the Beyond Cinema Studio, presented by Celebs.com up here at Sundance. Isaiah, Tim, Tequan, Joey, Alex. Firstly, I mean, we're hours from having just premiered up here. Alex, I mean, for you, your first feature after, making a few shorts, for you, how was that experience, having that audience sitting there watching your feature debut up at Sundance?
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was overwhelming, and I think the response was positive, but the energy that you had in that room was something you're not prepared for. There's no.
Do you find that you're watching the screen, or are you watching the audience? Are you watching your actors?
I was watching the movie actually, because I've never seen it on such a large screen.
You don't have one of those at home?
Yeah, exactly. And so I got drawn to it, actually. And it takes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And had you seen it before, Tequan?
No, this is my first time seeing it.
What did you feel?
It was really overwhelming. Like at the end of the movie, everybody was a bit,
I mean, Lee Boyd Malvo, a little different to your characters on like Everybody Hates Chris and
Right,
stuff. Just
exactly.
a touch.
Just a little.
Just a touch.
Just a little. But it was a good experience. This is also a first time Sundance visit for me as well. So great.
Did you follow the story? Like, did you I know like about a month ago they had that 10-year anniversary, and Lee Boyd Malvo came out and he spoke a lot to the press and talked about the relationship. Did you follow that? Did that interest you, even though you'd been done shooting?
When I first got to New York to start filming, Alexander actually had books ready. He was like, he had all kinds of books, all kinds of stories, all kinds of articles. So I definitely went back. He sent me YouTube links. I saw interviews with him, the actual Lee Malvo. So I did a lot of studying. Everybody did.
Any correspondence between you two?
No, I wish.
Are you curious?
I am.
Yeah. Isaiah, for you, I mean, such a kind of powerful character. I mean, I was talking to Tim earlier. Everyone kind of remembers where they were around that time. The Beltway killings, those sniper attacks, because of the randomness, the sheer randomness of it all, it kind of really sparked everybody's fears. And for you, did you kind of carry that into this, or were you kind of approaching it completely fresh?
Well, I remember, as a father, an African-American father, I was embarrassed when I found out. I still have him on the cover of Newsweek. So when I found out that he wasn't the type that would do something this Caucasian male and a white fan, I was shocked and embarrassed. One would think, with our history in this country, I would be feeling empowered, but it was not the case at all. I was thoroughly ashamed and angered. I remember it very well.
Yeah.
I remember where I was standing and in my home. I remember extremely well. I remember looking at my kids, looking at the real Lee Malvo and that photograph on the cover of Newsweek, and man, I just wanted to get in the room with him by myself. Now, kind of 2 years later, being given the opportunity to step into that soul was a little scary, very scary, a little damaging, I would propose, at the end of it. But it was a journey that I trusted him cinematically. And his letter, his conversation with me was very gentle. So I said, okay. At the end of the day, we're all curious lots as actors.
Yeah.
We all want to see if we can best our last performance. At least attempt to. It's like any athlete, anyone with testosterone, you know. But after hearing what it is that he wanted to do with this film, I said, let's go there. Let's try it. And here we are. Just one more thing. After seeing the movie, I was overwhelmed. The other part too was seeing Joey come on board. Knowing Tequan was there, but seeing Tim Blake Nelson come on board, that moved me so tremendously. To know that they're here. They're here, so I respect them and their legacy in film. So if they're here, then I made the right decision. You know what I mean? And seeing the scene that I knew was, for me as an actor, potential director, or at some point maybe a writer, that basement scene, seeing it on film, me shooting the weapon for the first and only time. Well, the second time I handled a pistol, but fire a weapon. So the average person is going to think, oh God, he's playing a DC sniper, Isaiah Washington's killing people on film. And I knew that wasn't the case, but seeing his performance and remembering it, how he carried me. You know, it was that performance on that night, in that basement, in that hellhole, somewhere in Long Island, and Joey's performance, making it so minimal and not on the nose as it was in the script, that really gave me the understanding of what I've always been doing most of my career, is being that supporting actor. And I was just so, and I would like to say thank you so much for carrying me through, carrying this young man through an unbelievably fantastic journey.
That's cool. Tim, what was the first time you met Alex, and what did he say to you? You know, Isaiah's kind of talking about that implicit sense of trust he had because of certain things that Alex did or showed him or wrote to him. What was it for you that made you want to climb on board this with someone who probably didn't have the track record that you have, even as a director, you know?
I was not afforded a lyrical missive via Facebook account that I don't have anyway. No, I just got called by my agent, and I'm completely material driven. It's 100% material driven, and I really admired the script. And then I looked at Alex's material, what could be seen on the internet, and there was just no question. And I knew they were talking about bringing Joey on, and Joey and I have been friends for years. She's directed me, and so there was really no question. And now I'm incredibly proud to be a part of this movie. There's such an immaculate and exquisite restraint to the film that is in complete counterpoint to the material, but somehow works perfectly because of that. And to pull that off as a director is a magic trick. This is a real, and I don't say this, I'm not an ethereal or pretentious guy. I hope not anyway. But this is a real work of art, and I'm incredibly proud to be a part of it and in support of these wonderful performances.
Joey, have you had enough time to kind of digest the afternoon, like what you saw on screen and things like that? How you feel about it all?
It's, you know, it's. I mean, to me, it's just like it's the perfect indie film. It has everything you want in an indie film and what it's supposed to be about, and it's kind of gotten away from to some degree, you know. But it's like why Sundance is here is to show films like this, you know. And when we were shooting, you know, I read the script and fell in love with the script, and I found the script restrained. I don't think you're saying you didn't, but I just think.
I found it restrained as well.
It wasn't, you know, it wasn't sensationalized or anything. And I didn't know what had happened. Like, I remember the DC snipers. I remember being in LA getting gas and looking around.
Right.
But I never heard kind of why or what happened. Or I didn't even know he'd been executed. And so when I was reading the script, I was like, you don't often hear... You know, it's like it'll be on CNN, and you know, but then it's not on CNN a year later when they finally figure out like what the dynamic was and what went wrong with the person.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to me that it was a telling of that, but again, not a sort of sensationalized Hollywood version of it.
Are you able to leave that kind of filmmaking hat aside when you're acting? Like, do you...
If you're with a director that is wearing it well, you can.
Alex, is that something that you think about, knowing that you're hiring actors, you know, who've directed their own projects as well? Was that kind of a bonus for you, knowing that they'd been in your shoes at one point in time? Or do you not consider it?
No, I didn't. I never really thought about that. I was, you know, overwhelmed enough by, you know, the talent that I had joining the project, so that was enough to, you know.
Where were you when the situation went down?
Oh, I think I was probably out of the country.
Yeah. So did you know about it then, or did
I
you
knew
learn about
I knew about it, but you know, just en passant. It didn't, you know. I remember that the image of a car, struck some chord in me, but I didn't pay more attention. I was abroad, and I really like stumbled upon the story, 10 years later.
So even when you were doing stuff like Cruel Summer and stuff like that, you still you didn't know about this story yet properly?
No, Cruel Summer was done after we made that film, actually.
Oh, okay. And so, for you, Tequan, I mean, what did you see in him that made you think that he was the right guy for this? Because, a lot of people know him from doing hosting gigs and obviously from Everybody Hates Chris and stuff. And Lee Boyd Malvo's only, probably 6 or 7 years older, maybe, like not such a big age gap between them. What did you see in him that you're like, this is the kid that can carry this?
It was like the hardest part, because we saw quite a few people, like a lot of, and at one point I was really worried because without Lee, there would be no movie, and so I thank God, when finally after months and maybe like 50, tests, and we find Tequan, and I think he's the next Marlon Brando. So there's yeah.
Why'd you shoot?
I knew right away he could carry the film on his shoulder.
Why'd you shoot? You shot in New York, right?
Yeah, in Staten Island.
In Staten Island.
Yeah.
Why there? It's such a DC story to most people. What?
Actually, the film doesn't takes place in the months and years prior to the DC event, so it takes place in Washington State for the most part.
Right.
And so Staten Island can look like any part of this country if you.
Was that just accessible to you, or was that just they enticed you to come out there, or like?
No, it was very close to I live in Brooklyn, and but also again there's a degree where I'm not trying to replicate exact reality, and I had an idea of a certain type of setting, of certain type of America that I wanted to show, and Staten Island has been beaten up quite enough, so that it was just like the perfect. I loved it there. We spent 2 months, and it's a fantastic place.
And in terms of the financing for the film, I know it's like kind of a boring question for some of the actors, but in terms of financing, I know previously you'd gotten some financing from Doha and the institute there. Did you continue that relationship into this?
No, again, that happened
that
after.
came after.
Yeah, that came after. No, it's an interesting question because the film, to some extent, is a case study, because I really started with dimes, and the film like grew over the course of the pre-production and during production. So we really were set off to do something extremely modest, and then as the script passed around and talent came in, and just people keep knocking at our door, and we ended up with it's nice.
Well, it's cool to see you all on day one of the journey that is going to be this movie. I know it's going to be really cool for you guys to watch it morph and find audiences. As of now, there's only like 300 people in the world that kind of have had that experience. And so, from here, step one, it's going to be a cool ride. So congratulations.
Thanks.